pleasant good morning to you all our viewers. This is Prudence Chota, and this is a breakfast show that comes to your screen every morning from 07 hours to 08 hours, from Monday to Saturday. We bring you nothing but the best of current affairs, sports, the best of politics, the best of what is happening around. And of course, today on a Friday, we specifically talk about business. As you know, business is a very important catalyst to the development of any economy. I am your host, Prudence Chota, and of course, every Friday, I am joined by a very beautiful lady who helped me co-host this program. We're going to greet our viewer even this morning.
First of all, good morning, Prudence.
Good morning, Miriam.
And good morning to your viewers.
Good morning,
like my colleague said, this is a breakfast show which comes to your screen every morning around 7:30 hours. We bring you nothing but the best that Camnet has to offer you, our lovely viewers. And for those who would love to give your contribution with regard to the topic that we're going to be looking at this morning, please send us your contribution via SMS. Please give us a direct call. And those who are watching us live on Facebook, you can also send us those messages. We'll be able to read them through as the show goes on. Yeah.
Yes, of course, Miriam, and of course you've seen the topic of discussion today, which is of course the big elephant that is currently under discussion, and that is an introspective on youth empowerment funds starting from the Patriotic Front administration. We saw quite a number of resources being given as loans to the youths, and if you are a beneficiary, it might have not been Miriam, it might have been you're not an artist, but there are always these youth empowerment that the Patriotic Front administration was issuing then. If you're a beneficiary, perhaps would like to hear from you. How have you utilized
the money? Exactly, it's very important because others are saying the youths mismanaged those funds. Others are saying, no, we did benefit. We would like to hear those comments, how you benefited, how you utilized the funds. Were you able to, revamp your business?
And are you able to pay back? There's nothing wrong with getting a loan. As far as I know, there's nothing wrong with you getting a loan to boost your business. But have you been able to pay back from the loans that you acquired? But for those who are just watching us, of course, we are going to allow you to call through and make your contributions with regards to today's topic of discussion, which is nothing but based on the youth empowerment in the Patriotic Front administration. But before we get to dig deeper into this topic, we are going to go on an exercise. As we always say, it's important, Miriam, to keep fit.
I did that in the morning.
Wow.
Yeah, I did that just like for 10 minutes.
Okay.
Just to keep fit so that I keep my day going as smooth as possible. Yeah, it's always important.
It's always important for you to do your daily activities. You need to be in good shape. So we are going to give you nothing but the best. Stay tuned.
Good morning, Cabinet viewers. Welcome to our quick morning show. And I am your presenter, Isaac Matsa. I'm here so that we can do a bit of exercise before you jump on that vehicle and go and do your work. Let's do a warm-up as usual. I'm excited. It's a beautiful morning, a brand new day. You better be positive and do what you know. Let's go. Hamstring, stay at it. Let's do now two each. Let's go. 1, 2, and 1, 2. Stay there. 2, 1. Try it. Tell your habit to join you. Let's do it together. 2 each. 2 each. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and 4, 3, 2. Back to step touch. Let's go. 4, 3, 2. Hamstrings. 4, 3, 2. Back to step touch. and 4, 3, 2, hamstrings. Marching. Let's march. Lift your knees high. Hip, 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 hip. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Let's do a warm-up. Okay. So that was your warm-up today. And we're going to do something else now. The first thing we're going to do, I'm giving you some squats. Okay, here we go now. Put your feet together. Watch my body posture. Let's go now. 20 at a go. If you can't do 20, please do 10. Okay, let's go. Let's go, mommy, daddy, involve your children. 1, 2, 4, go down. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20. I'm gonna face this direction. Go! More. Okay, 20. Still with squats. Take a break. Relax your legs. Good morning workout, isn't it? Let's go, another 10 now. Watch the space. This is what I do now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Try it. 5, 6. Good for your body. 7, 8, 9, 10. So that was 10. That's the second one. In case you had too much of Nshima last night, let's burn all that fat now. Another 10. Ready? Feet together. Open your stance. Go down. Touch the ground. 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Push. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 20. Trust me, if you're doing it exactly like me, right now, you can feel pressure on your thighs. 20 more. Remember, the first one we did was 40. This one should be 40 as well. After that, take a shower, jump on that vehicle, your bike, your car, and go for work. Let's go. 20 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Woo! I'm burning fat here. Do it. You thank Camnet later. Last one. Let's go, Team Camnet. Let's show them we can do this. Last 10. After this, you can have your coffee and go for work. 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'll do 2 for you, 1 for you, 2 for your wife, 3 for your children, for my producer, 1. Great. That was 40. So you did 2 types of squats. Remember? There was the skill squat and the sumo squat. Now, forget about the names. What's important is for you to do the workout. Right now, I can't even talk properly because I'm working out. I'm burning fats, I'm burning calories, and that's what you ought to do. Every morning, try this. If you miss it in the morning, try to do it in the evening. Remember where I started from? Let's march. And back. We are winding down now. Thank you so much for tuning in to our breakfast show. Please make sure you need to exercise always because you only have one body to carry out your assignments. And I am signing out. I'm Isaac Matsa, and see you.
I hope you have exercised this morning. I always emphasize when we come to this program to say it is always important for you to exercise and to keep fit. And we just gave you nothing but the best teacher to guide you through this morning, even in terms of exercising. But of course, we are not ignoring what we are discussing today, an introspective on the Youth Empowerment Fund, starting from the Patriotic Front administration. We did see the Minister of Youth, Sports and Art yesterday, Mr. Elvis Nkandu, announce that, or rather remind some of the artists who benefited from some empowerment to ensure that they pay back. For some, the dues are already in form, and it's like, of course, they've not been paying. So we are discussing this topic today. And for everyone who's watching us, are you a beneficiary? It might have been not necessarily the money that was given to the artist, Miriam, but it might have been that in the past, as far as I know, in the past, government has still been giving youth empowerment. And the questions that we should be asking now is, have the youths been able to pay back the empowerment funds? Do they pay back, or are they paying back? Those are the questions that we would want to know. Exactly. So you should you'll be able to send us your contribution with regards to this topic, what you think about this topic. Of course. Yeah. And just to understand what we are really talking about, we're going to zoom into the headlines so that we get to understand what is it that we are talking about. So right about now, we are going to zoom into the headlines with regards to youth empowerment and what the minister said yesterday.
On August 12, 2020, government under the previous regime dispersed the 30 million kwacha as Presidential Arts Empowerment Fund through the National Art Council, NSC, to some artists as loans. The initiative aimed at promoting the arts industry using a revolving fund system. Loans to some artists who in return are expected to pay back based on respective terms and conditions of the contracts. During a press briefing Thursday, the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Arts Minister Elvis Nkandu has noted with concern the low loan recovery rate from some recipients, which he disclosed only stands at 10%.
So the 85 recipients had all the amount disbursed. That is equipment plus the working capital. Of many concern, however, is that the recovery rate for the 37 projects that are due for loan repayment is at mere 10%. Because some people thought, because they sang some songs for the last regime, they thought those were their benefits. And I want to emphasize, this should be of great concern, not only to the ministry, but the entire country.
The ministry has clarified that no recipient of the loan is being victimized, but it is a reminder to those whose loans are due to start paying it immediately.
I wish to direct as follows. Number one, all projects that are due for repayment should commence the repayments with immediate effect. Number two, those with outstanding issues should engage the ministry through the fund managers to ensure they reconcile their records so that they too can commence repayments.
However, then Empowerment Fund Organizing Committee Chairperson Patrick Samwimbila has cautioned the public not to take the issue out of context by politicizing the matter, adding that all who benefited were given on pure grounds of being artists and Zambian citizens.
Then what differs is the period of repayment, perhaps. It's according to what, others got bigger amounts, others got smaller amounts. But as into the specific terms of contracts, that one I'm not aware because I didn't see the contracts myself. No. There is no politics involved here. And it's only the way probably they are putting it that maybe other artists were given because they were dancing or singing for PF. That is out. Artists were given because they are artists.
Meanwhile, during the same briefing, the ministry disclosed that since the incoming of the UPND administration, the ministry has recovered over 15 million kwacha from the first 50 tanker trucks which were given out under the empowerment program.
In addition, over 15 million kwacha has been recovered from the first 50 fuel tankers just alone. Let me take this opportunity to thank Kapesika Energy and Petroleum and Mount Meru Oil Marketing Company for their commitment to managing and remitting the proceeds of the tankers to the ministry. The 50 tankers that were procured were given to Kapesika and Mount Meru. And I want also to emphasize that we are really thankful for their commitment, because what people thought would be something that will go like other empowerment programs, this is something that we are proud of as a ministry, because it has yielded positive results. And the 15 million that we've collected, this is the money that we've collected ever since we came into office. Before we came into office as New Dawn government, there was not even a coin that was collected from these tankers. But ever since we came into office, barely 4 months in office, we've collected more than 15 million kwacha from these 50 tankers.
Going forward, the ministry has echoed its plans to improving the lives of the youth through the various empowerment programs. Alex Shimba, Camnet News, in Lusaka.
There you have it, Minister of Youth, Sports and Art, Elvis Nkando, speaking to the fact that the artists who acquired part of the 30 million that was given for youth empowerment funds should ensure that they pay back for their dues. And this is a topic of discussion today. We are looking into an introspective on the youth empowerment fund, starting from the Patriotic Front administration. But the question that we are asking is, are you a beneficiary of not maybe only the money that was given to the artists, but in the past, and you prudently utilize those resources? We'd like to hear from you. Remember, those empowerment funds are given in order for you to boost your business. You might be a motivation that someone wants to rather get funding and pay back. That's why today we are discussing this topic. And of course, for everyone watching out there, you will be allowed, of course, to phone in, make your contribution with regards to this topic, and how best do you think the Youth Empowerment Fund should be handled? Do you think the way the Patriotic Front administration handled the issue is the right way to go about it? That is a topic that we'll be discussing.
You know, most of the people would, say that the way the empowerment funds was handled was being politicized. Many would question that, but would also want to hear your comment, our viewers. Do you think it was politicized? So that we get your contribution with regards to this. And moving forward, how do you think government should manage this?
The resources.
The resources, yeah.
Yeah. Before we invite the guest for today, who's going to help us discuss that topic in detail, we're going to look at the money market. We need to understand how is it that our kwacha is performing against other major currencies. Remember, if you're doing business and you're planning to send some resources to purchase your goods, you really need to know how is it that our currency is performing against other major convertibles. So the Zambian kwacha against the United States dollar was buying at 17 kwacha 73 ngwe and selling at 18 kwacha 08 ngwe. The kwacha against the euro was buying at 18 kwacha 89 ngwe and selling at 19 kwacha 26 ngwe. The kwacha against the British pound was buying at 23 kwacha 17 ngwe and selling at 24 kwacha 16 ngwe. And the Zambian kwacha against the South African rand was buying at 1 kwacha 16 ngwe and of course selling at 1 kwacha 18 ngwe. So that was the update on the money market. In case you're just trying to do business, you're trying to send your money to South Africa, you have to know how is the local currency performing. So the figures we've given you today at close of business, that was yesterday on Thursday, and that is how the kwacha was. We will continue, however, to monitor how the kwacha will be performing today and by close of business.
Exactly. So it's very important that when you're a business person, you know how your currency is trading to compared to other currencies. Very, very important for business people. Very important.
Not even for business people, Miriam, for everyone, exactly. The citizen. Exactly. You need to know, you need to get interest in understanding how some of these things work and how is it that they affect you. But don't worry, Camnet TV brings you nothing but the best of the business, of sports, of politics, of economic affairs, and we are here to explain just some of that. But before we get to dig into today's topic, we are going to take a short breather and we will be joined by the guest who's helping us discuss the topic. Stay tuned.
From 31st January to 6 February 2022, Zambia's spiritual atmosphere will take a paradigm shift. The Bible says, "Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord."
Zambia, a nation under God conference will be starting at 20:45 hours
to 22:30 hours.
live on Camnet TV channel 274 on DSTV, GoTV channel 98 and Topstar channel 106.
Speakers will be
Bishop Stanley Simnyola, Grace Ministries,
Dr. Nevas Mumba, Victory Ministries,
Apostle Michael Mutemwa from South Africa,
Bishop Nelly Chikwanda, New Life Christian Center,
Apostle Rick Kamwanga, Risen Life Church International,
Bishop Joy Makando, Bread of Life,
Bishop Alex Mwami of Holy Ghost Firehouse from South Africa, and your hosts, Pastors Victoria and Moses Chilua.
Camnet Television,
Not just another channel. This Friday, join Pastor Moses Chiluba on the ministry as he hosts Bishop John Mambo.
People have made mistakes. I've made mistakes. I've gone before the food bench and they said, look, I made a mistake, I'm sorry, because there was misgiving. All I'm saying is that we cannot afford the young ones, upcoming clergy, they will be worse if at all we don't put our house in order. The same politician that we call to his services, they look at us as a bunch of junk who don't mean anything.
At exactly 20:45 hours, only on DSTV channel 274, GoTV channel 98, and Topstar channel 106.
Hello, I'm Deborah Lukalu, all the way from South Africa. You are watching Camnet channel, not just another channel. God bless you. Stay tuned.
An introspective on youth empowerment fund, starting from the Patriotic Fund Administration, is a topic that we are discussing today. We just played a clip where Minister of Youth, Sports and Art, Elvis Nkandu, yesterday did allude to the fact that those who got the resources need to pay back. And he's saying some of the period that was given to repay is due. Is due. Yes, and some of the resources have not been recovered.
So the government did say that with the immediately effect, those who got those loans should start paying back. So with us in the guest, his National Ambassador and Chairman and founder for Movement for Promoting National Values and Principles, Mr. Joseph Kunda, who is just going to help us discuss into details with regards to this topic. Good morning.
Good morning, Miriam.
And of course, good morning to the viewers.
I'm happy to be here.
No, we are so glad that we have you in studio to just get to discuss, of course, the big elephant that we have in the room, and that is the topic that has to do with the youth empowerment funds in the Patriotic Fund Administration. So, Mr. Kunda, we know that it is not only the money that was given to the artists that government has released with regards to empowering youth. I think in the past, we've had a fund which is called Youth Empowerment, which has been given to some of the youths across the country. I remember at one point when I did a research when I was in school with regards to those who've been benefiting, and now they've been using the resources. And I did discover that most of those who were beneficiaries did not even want to speak for fear of maybe being victimized, recorded, and stuff like that. So let's talk about the introspective of youth empowerment funds in Zambia, starting from the previous regime. What can be your comment?
Well, the matter is being blown out of proportion, the way I'm trying to understand it. The pronouncements from the Minister of Youth and Sports, Honorable Elvis Nkandu, were initially uttered on December 15th, 2021. What you are referring to yesterday's speech was a repetition of what was earlier said. Yeah, but then honestly speaking, empowerment of youths has been there from time immemorial. The unit government had this provision as well. Yeah, we had a lot of schemes that were drafted meant to empower the youths in various schemes and skills as well. That's how come we had trade schools and a number of activities across the country. And I'm one person who benefited from youth empowerment.
That's good. That's important.
Those days when I was...
even reminding those who benefited to say, can you tell us?
In the unit government.
Okay, that's
in the unit government. Under ZCCM, at that time when we had Zambia Consolidated Copper Mine, the mines, as a way of paying a benefit to the community, they used to conduct some trainings and trade schools to the youths.
Okay.
So we had a place which in Usakile, Kitwe, we were calling a scheme. It was a scheme. It was a mine planning, under mine planning division under ZCCM. And they used to provide skills in mechanics to the youths, carpentry and joinery, upholstery, and then wire fence making, and tailoring and designing, tiling, and then plumbing, bricklaying, to mention but a few. And I learned my skills from there. When I was still very young, I used to attend those, and we were given some craft certificates in carpentry. I'm a very good carpenter. Miriam, I haven't told her about that. She always thinks, or possibly, of course, she knows that at one time I was a religious person. But I'm a trained carpenter. I did bricklaying, I did upholstery and designing, and then I did wire fencing. And a number of skills that time, we benefited. You know, the government had ensured that at that time, it was a requirement for all companies. It's not a responsibility of the government only to empower youths. And that's one thing that we need to understand. Almost all institutions have an obligation to plow back to the community. And we have to come up with a way of doing it. You know, big companies like Trade Kings and Dangote Cement, you know, Zambezi, Portland, Zebra, and other companies, you know, they must have a way of plowing back to the community by empowering the youths. They have to come up with some ways. You know, the government need partners. We need to partner with the government. It cannot just be the responsibility of the government, you know, to shoulder the burden of training or giving skills to the youths. No, it's supposed to be everyone's responsibility. Stakeholders have to come on board so that, you know, the burden is lessened, is reduced on the part of the government. So this program has been there for some time now. And during the time for President Frederick Chiluba, when he took over in 1991, the training of youths continued. We had a lot of training centers across the country where youths were sent, you know, to receive training in various fields. And then when the Patriotic Front, a government, took over, President Michael Chilufiasata, I remember, had appointed Honorable Chishimba Kambwili as Minister of Youths. At that particular time, I was still with a non-profit making organization until later in 2014, 2014, I established a construction company in Kapirimposhi, which is still there but not very active. And I attended a meeting that was conducted by Honorable Kambwili when he was Minister of Youths. And we had this meeting at Civic Center in Kapiri. And a request was made directly to me that if I could receive the monies meant for all the youths in Kapiri district, you know, then using me as a custodian or a recipient of those monies, I needed to help other youths. So what we were told in that meeting which I attended by Honorable Kambwili was that we needed to come up with some skills I'm sure you know, Prudence and Miriam, that when we discuss youths, we are talking about the age of 18 up to 35. Yeah.
Yes.
So all those must be beneficiaries. So the instruction was issued that because the requirements basically are supposed to be 3. It's the age that qualifies someone to be a beneficiary of that arrangement. And then secondly, you must come up with a registered entity. It could be an association, or it could be a company, a limited company, or a registered cooperative, you know. So that must be registered, you know. You need to have that. And then the third requirement is the NRC, National Registration Card. And you know, it's imperative that we clearly understand the arrangement on the empowerment of youths, because the same formula is now being applied in the CDF arrangement. You know, for people, many citizens are asking about the qualifications that are required for someone to benefit from the CDF, you know, and they've been wondering what it takes, you know, to be a beneficiary of that. There are just 3 requirements. One must be a citizen of the Republic of Zambia, ordained with a national registration card, our green national registration card. If you have that, then it means you have this qualification. Secondly, you need to be between 18 and 35. And then thirdly, you need to belong to a registered entity. There is no degree required, no diploma, no certificate required.
Okay, let me just hold your thought. We have a caller. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Okay, since we lost that caller. In case you're just watching, this is the Camnet TV Breakfast Show, and today's topic we are talking about an introspective on youth empowerment funds starting from the previous administration, which is the Patriotic Front. So in case you're just joining us, please send us your contribution. There is a line on your screen. You'll be able to give us your contribution from there. Call us. And those who are watching us on Facebook, please do send us those messages. We'll be able to read them out. And in the studio, we are joined by the National Ambassador and Chairman and Founder for Movement for Promoting National Values and Principles, Mr. Joseph Kunda, who is just helping us discuss our topic of today. Mr. Kunda, before we had that caller you were talking about, maybe you can finish up your thought before we go
I was just trying to finish up the question that I was asked by Prudence on how the empowerment for the youths has been done and has been conducted from the first government, the unit government. So what I was talking about, the 3 requirements that are expected, and then I was also trying to say the same requirements are also being expected for the applicants who want to be beneficiaries in the CDF funds that are due to be dispersed to all 156 constituencies across the country. We are expecting about 25.7 million funds to be sent to each and every constituency. But there's something that I observed before we talk about you know, the idea of anybody who benefited from those monies paying back. We want to talk about first the fact that those who benefited from those monies.
We have a caller. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Okay, it seems we lost that.
Seems we're having some technical challenges with regards to picking up phone calls. We're going to work on that issue as fast as we can, because we are unable to listen, or rather hear the caller in studio. So we're just going to ask our tech team to perhaps look at that problem. But of course, Mr. Kunda, you were mentioning something with regards to
the youth empowerment funds that were given during the Patriotic Front government. Yes, The government is correct, and they are in the right direction when they are asking for all the beneficiaries of those monies to pay back. I remember Honorable Kambwili, as he was issuing out those monies, he used a certain Bemba proverb, and he also said, tukalimbane na mamumeno over these monies. If you won't pay, tukalimbana ina mamumeno. Now, that is an idiom in Bemba, which simply means because you cannot dig a portion of meat from someone's teeth, but it simply means who struggle to get the monies, whether you like it or not.
Okay,
we have to get the monies.
Mr. Kunda. Hello, good morning. Good morning. Hello, you're through to the program. Good morning. Okay, it seems the problem.
So the government actually made it very clear to the youths that those were not bonuses that were given, neither were they allowances or salaries, but they were loans. And any one of us knows that when money is issued as a loan, then it means you have to pay back.
Mr. Kunda, there is something that has interested me in what you've said. You did say to the fact that when the Patriotic Front government and then the Minister Chishimba Kambwili came to Kapiri to try and disseminate the funding, you were one of those who were mandated.
I was called. I wasn't a youth, honestly speaking. I was above that because I should have been around 45 or so that time. But I was called to be of help to the youths and provide guidance and help in building capacity. Because I think that is one thing that is missing. Even when we talk of CDF funds, capacity building has not been there. I remember being part of a team that was discussing the monies that were given to ministry, the defunct Ministry of National Guidance and Religious Affairs. The government had given them about...
Sorry, we have a caller. Hello. Good morning and welcome to the program. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much. Tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
I'm calling you from Copperbelt.
How is Copperbelt this morning?
Fantastic.
Thank you so much. Please go ahead with your contribution. You are Mr. Who?
Willis Mwamba.
Mr. Mwamba, please go ahead with your contribution.
Good morning, panel.
Good morning, Mr. Mwamba.
Good, how are you?
I'm okay, sir. How are you?
My son is great. What you're saying is right too. But these people, they don't have away from social responsibility. Especially the companies we have talked about. They have not spent them the government to give us empowerment and skills. So things have to change. We don't have to depend on the government. Let the companies that have come on board to take the responsibility of people skills in the community. Those empowerment is fine. Let them be involved in fine. There are a lot of youth who want to benefit from the same path. So I appeal to all companies that have come this time around. They shouldn't run away from social responsibility. Let you want to go and those things are bad. But everybody is responsible for activity. That's my contribution. Thank you very much, Robert.
Thank you so much,
Thanks,
Mr. Mwamba,
Mwamba,
for that contribution. That was Mr. Mwamba from the Copperbelt, who agrees with Mr. Kunda's perspective when he said empowerment of skills in the community should not be left to the government alone. We need other stakeholders to come on board. So, Mr. Kunda, of course, we were discussing the issue to do with Kapiri Report. So I would like to find out, when you were tasked to do that, how did you select the beneficiaries of those resources?
I was part of the team that was invited as a consultant, so to say, to provide guidance to the youths. But then, knowing what was involved, I could foresee I think I had foresight of what was going to happen. So I'm sorry to mention, Prudence, that I chickened out.
Okay.
I avoided.
Okay.
Discreetly. I didn't tell the minister that I won't be part of this. We were told what was needed. But then I looked at the youths. There is this young man, Kelvin. He's now in Luapula. He makes a lot of noise on social media. At some point, he protested. He wanted to go to... So he was part of those youths.
Mr. Gonda, I have to hold your thoughts there.
Like a lot of people want to talk to you.
Exactly. Hello, good morning. Good morning. Hello, good morning.
Yes,
please tell us. Mr. Banda, please go ahead with your contribution.
Yes, I want to contribute, yes.
Please go ahead. Calling from where?
Kasempa.
It's good to know Kasempa is tuned in this morning. Please go ahead with your contribution.
Please, thank you very much. This is a very important program, especially that has come at the right time. Looking at the youth, all citizens in this country should think of contributing to the government, because government is the people itself. So if you are going into government to expect something, then expect that that government will be a poor government, because the energy in the youth should be going there to contribute. We have youth that have done welding. We have youth that have done farming. We have youth that have done various skills, ICT. They should contribute to the government. But if youth are putting our hands to work for the government, then that is dangerous. Thank you very much for according me time.
Sir, thank you so very much for calling. Okay, that was Kasempa. It's good to know that Kasempa is tuned in, and his contribution is to the fact that we have a lot of youths with skills in the country who have to contribute and not wait on the government. So if you are a youth and you're watching, you have to pull up your sock and ensure that you become a contributor to the development of Zambia. So Mr. Kunda, of course, is the national ambassador, chairman, and founder for Movement for Promoting National Values and Principles. And of course, the topic of discussion this morning is an introspective on the Youth Empowerment Fund, starting with the Patriotic Fund administration. Just in case you're tuning into Camnet TV, that is what we are discussing. So Mr. Kunda, just to move further from where we were, you of course mentioned that when you were asked to chair, to be part of the consultancy with regards to the funds that were released to Kapiri Mponshi during the first tenure of the Patriotic Fund government, you pulled out. So let's get to hear why.
I decided to pull out because of the mindset of our youths in Zambia. Yeah, I think before I formed a construction company, I had served in a religious setup as a traveling representative of that organization. And I'd been to so many places across the country. We have a very bad inclination here in Zambia. Our youths have a very bad inclination, you know. We just want everything to be done by the government. And to make matters worse, many people misunderstood the motto of the late President Michael Chilufya-Sata when he said he would put money in people's pockets. I think that had occupied many of our youths. Their minds were occupied with that sentiment to the extent that they became so complacent. And, you know, sometimes complacent results or leads to naivety.
But you know, not to cut you short, your thought short, but we have a lot of youths nowadays would say, I have these skills, I can do this and that, but I do not have the resources, and the only person who can help me is government.
Exactly, and that's where we're saying, Miriam, it's not just the government that should help us. It's not just the government, you know. We are calling upon all stakeholders. The government cannot manage. You know, the government carry a heavy burden in providing for all the citizens. The responsibility of the government is simply to enhance the situation to make the environment, the economic environment, sustainable and conducive for all the citizens to conduct their businesses, you know. Otherwise, it's not the government to get the money and put it in the hands of the people. And then the other thing, from the business introspective, it's not a good thing, you know, to give people a lot of money if you are training them to start new businesses. Many people who are successful businessmen and women have a similar story to tell. They say that they started with very little, very, very little. Others started with nothing but wisdom and plans, you know, and guidance. It doesn't take a lot of, even when you ask the richest man in Africa, Mr. Dangote Aliko himself, he will tell you how he started. He didn't have anything, you know. Even President Hakainde Hichilema himself, who is one of the people who are very rich in our country, you know, running a lot of businesses. He didn't start with money when he started his business. He started from a very humble background, but he had good intentions. He was disciplined, and that's another thing that is lacking in many of our youths. So the idea or initiative of empowering youths is well meant, but we have a lot to do with capacity building. Our youths need capacity building, and it is for that reason that I feel that the coming up of the idea that these youths who got the monies must be held accountable, and they just have to pay back. I'm foreseeing a situation where many of those who may fail, suppose the government might say, will put up punitive measures for those who will be unable to pay back. I can foresee prison wars getting filled up. I think many will be arrested. Many will be arrested. Because, you know, I'm not blaming, neither am I trying to say they should not pay back. I'm not trying to say that. But I'm worried. Because many who used those monies, who got those monies, never put it to good use. They didn't spend it, you know, prudently. And that's where we have the worry, even when we talk about CDF. While the idea is brilliant for the government, you know, to come up with those monies, if we had issues with the previous CDF funds, 1.6 million. At one time I've sat in some meetings, you know, at the constituency level, where monies were discussed, you know, on how they could be spent in a particular constituency. We used to have challenges with 1.6 million, you know, 1.6 million. Sometimes in some councils, they failed to spend 1.6 million. They failed to spend. You know, they couldn't come up with projects that were enough to utilize the 1.6 million. At the end of the year, some monies were retained in the government coffers, you know, because they could not be used. Failure to plan, you know, and this is where we are saying, have we reached that capacity now as a government to plan effectively for the usage of 25.7 million this time? Okay, if we had challenges that time.
Let me just hold your phone. Let me just hold
you. Yes,
if
please.
We have a caller. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much. Tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
This is Godfrey Soko. I'm calling from Kamara.
It's good to know Mwala South is watching. Mr. Soko, please go ahead with your contribution.
Yeah, for me, firstly, I just wanted to say something concerning you, the director. I've discovered that you are not giving the man who is on the panel first to lay the foundation. And after laying the foundation, that's when we can continue calling, so that we understand what he is trying to lay down the foundation. But we are allowing us the callers to come in, so it's even forgetting what he's trying to lay down.
So, Mr. Soko, you're suggesting that we stop picking calls?
Yes, for me, I wanted to listen to him after he laid the foundation first. The gentleman who is there, he has got the valid points which I wanted to listen
many minutes should we give him? Because we also have time on the table.
No, I just wanted to, what I've discovered is, when he starts to say something, when they call us so-called in, then they disturb him, then he forgets what he was saying at first, and he goes to another point, and we are missing the mark.
Mr. Soko, thank you so much for that contribution. We've taken note. We are going to give our guests time, and yeah, please keep listening to comments.
Mr. Soko, before you go, has he cut?
Yes, he has.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's watching. Perhaps you can speak to him.
He should be Mr. Soko that I know. Yes.
Okay. So he's saying we've not given you enough time to lay the foundation. So please, maybe go ahead. Looking at the time that we have.
Yeah, he could be enjoying listening to the discussion, but there is something that is missing because this is breakfast show. So I'm not here to entertain myself alone. I'm here actually to be bombarded. Although I pleaded with Miriam in the background before coming here, I said, Miriam, tone down on me, I'm an orphan.
No, the fact is, I think a lot of people are enjoying the topic.
Is
and
it?
Because I can attest to the fact that I'm sure even the people in the control room, they're just trying to control some of the calls that are coming in. But of course, we are here to discuss nothing but an introspective into the Youth Empowerment Fund, starting from the Patriotic Fund administration. So, Mr. Kunda, the question that were the funds in the previous administration administered in the right way? Maybe let's start from there, because you have mentioned that before you decide to give money to someone, you are a beneficiary in the Kaunda time of this empowerment. Is it in the Chiluba time?
Yes.
And you did mention to say before you were given those resources, you were first empowered with a skill.
Yes.
But what we've been seeing previously is
just
the fact that
giving.
People are being given. So maybe the question is, were the funds administered in the right way?
Prudence, I'm not here to betray anyone. Neither am I here to betray the government of the day. Actually, if you were to ask me, I'm a very loyal person to the government of the day, actually. Yeah, and I have a lot of respect to the government of the day and even previous governments. But I would be very unfair to the citizens and to the government itself if I failed to address the problem. I need to, to tell the nation where we are going wrong and why we've been getting things wrongly. Politicians are people who are tricky. Politicians are really tricky, They are quite sentimental and they are emotional sometimes, They use emotions to think, And for the sake of being popular and to win the confidence of the people, sometimes they make irrational decisions, It's not supposed to be like that. It's not supposed to be like that. The way monies are sometimes disbursed, you tend to wonder, honestly, even at home, Prudence and Miriam, of course, if you are at home, we are all coming from our homes, If somebody was to give us some money, if it's a parents, for example, they give us a lot of money, say 10,000 on a particular day to say, buy food that you can eat today. 10,000 to buy food that you can eat in a home for a day. Is there logic there, 10,000 is too much for food for a particular day. Yeah, we have had situations in different governments, previous governments, even now, where sometimes politicians have made irrational decisions. They would go to a certain place very far from the national grid, where there's never been electricity, no poles, to connect that area. Maybe Chisomo area, let me cite an area, Ngabwe or Chisomo. I've been there, and I had a project under UNICEF when I was doing some toilets, So I reached those areas. The places are quite far away from the national grid, Sometimes the president would visit that area, or maybe the minister or anyone, and then upon arrival, the people start making demands. We need electricity here and all that. And then this minister, without even consulting the utility company that supplies electricity, he makes the pronouncement, I'll make sure by next month you will be connected. if you consulted the technical team from ZESCO, can you imagine? You're talking about a distance of about 60 kilometers. How many poles do you need to connect electricity? But here is a politician making a sentimental, opinion or view. You will be connected by next month. Now, politicians would want to do it that way, as long as they get what they want, especially when there is a by-election. And never listen to a politician. Careful with a politician when there are elections that are pending. The way we have Kawata elections. Very careful. Because people will tell you about what is in the heavens when they've never been to the anthill. They exaggerate their promises. So what are we talking about? There's been no planning, no prudent planning in the disbursements of monies. When we talk about the youth empowerment, even the CDF now that we are talking about, because some committees are not existing even now. People don't have the capacity to handle those monies. And that's why some people say monies are attached with the demons or Satan. I don't know. Sometimes you can believe it. Because I've seen people who are well behaved, but when they have money, they lose it out. Money is something else. So, to be honest with you, Patience, I wouldn't say, I mean Prudence, I wouldn't say the government has always done very well. It's for that reason that I'm trying to caution the Minister of Youth, Honorable Elvis, to tone down a little bit and not to demonize people that got the monies.
Can we say
or else you make the government of the day very unpopular.
Can we say the fund administration was politically done?
Yes. There is some political inclination. In much of these things that are done, there is some political influence. We have experts in the government. The government, if there is a place where you can find learned people, educated men and women, technocrats, vision carriers, think tanks, whatever we can call them, intellectuals, the genius, you find them in government. They are there. We have learned men and women in government I've never seen. The permanent secretaries, the directors, with PhDs, masters, what? Others have more than 3, 4 degrees or masters in a particular field, But let's come to implementation. That's where the problem is. Because the minister will be a grade 12 in that particular ministry. And when the PS makes some arrangements, he gives advice, this should be done this way, and then the minister will just come and say, well, what we want are votes, so this is rubbish. Give the people the money, they want money, you are frustrating our government. And truly, if you don't listen, he will make sure he reports you to the president and you can be fired or dismissed. So for fear of losing jobs, technocrats or people who know, they are afraid of politicians. It's my prayer that His Excellency President Hakainde Hichilema should make a distinction on this one. I've always heard his presentations where he has praised the learned men and women, where he has said we want a meritocratic type of governance system. We want to be methodical, and we want to ensure that we are systematic in our way of doing things. Well, that is true. And he can come up with people who are very, very learned. But he shouldn't forget, he has politicians who are now managing these ones. So he would plan very well like that. And he can have a good vision. But the politicians will frustrate those plans. They will frustrate. So, quite all right. We meant very well by saying, but the question I would like to ask him, if he's here, I talked to him, he's my friend. I would ask him, Honorable, you talked about what measures did you put in place to ensure that those people you gave monies could put the monies to good use to the extent that they could heal the profits and pay back the money? What measures were put in place? Yes, the money hit into their accounts. You know, we saw in the previous government where some musicians could be given 300,000, 450,000,
800,000.
850,000. A musician gets that money. And you know, there was no application of national values. Let me not forget. And Miriam, you should be kind and fair to me, you know. You know that me, I deal with national values. You know, I'm a champion of national values in the country. So when it comes to national values, we are talking about equity, social justice, non-discrimination, fairness, inequality, patriotism, ethics. Ethics means an ethical way of doing things, a well-arranged pattern of doing things. That's ethics. Well, somebody can define ethics in any way. I would like to define it in my own understanding. Ethics is a well-arranged pattern of doing things. That's ethics to me. That's my definition. Somebody will talk of the code of conduct at the place of work, you know. You people in the media fraternity, you have your own ethics that you follow. Yeah. There are ethics in medicine, you know. You can't reveal the health status of a client or anybody without the consent of that person. So those are ethics in medicine. But politicians have no ethics. Do they have? Do they have? So they can make a pronouncement. I will bring you this next week. Then people will be there chilling, and that's one thing that I've seen. The difference between the previous governments and this government is that President Hakainde Hichilema is different. Truly, he's an economist, and he's an accountant, and he's a business manager. He's a consultant in business. It's very true. That I've seen. He doesn't want to spend anyhow. You know, some people misunderstand him, and they take him to be a very, very stingy person, a person who is egocentric, a person who is dogmatic, you know, a person who is not liberal to share with others whatever he has, a person who is self-centered. He's been called all sorts of names. I heard even at a time when GBM, the former vice president in the UPND, condemned President Hakainde Hichilema and said, he called him all sorts of names. He's a very selfish man. He doesn't share food with others and all that. No, he's just disciplined. He's disciplined. We can't have a situation in the country where any politician can go into any church and donate 500 bags of cement. When did he plan for that? Where has that money come from? No, those are emotional givings, you know. They are irrational decisions. We are not seeing this in this government. We have stopped seeing that, you know, where the president can just go anywhere, even at a funeral, and make pronouncements of the contributions. I'm going to donate so much. No, monies must be planned for. They must be budgeted for. So that irrational spending is gone. So what this government is now projecting and emphasizing on is the prudent use of monies, accountability. They want to ensure that there is honesty and sincerity. No wonder there was the orientation that we saw at Mulungushi, where ministers and permanent secretaries were oriented on how to use monies prudently for the government. I think let's give them time. We are likely to prove this. I'm foreseeing this because there is no sentimentality in the spending of monies for the government. So I'm foreseeing effectiveness, you know, in the spending. Because one wonders what criteria were the previous government using for them to determine which musician should get so much. What barometer were they using? What was the gauge? Or the vernier caliper were they using? Because in carpentry we use a vernier caliper. I told you that I'm a carpenter. So for you to mark a straight line, we use a vernier caliper. But you know, my hands are well trained. I can even draw a straight line on a timber, on a plank, just using my hand like that because I'm trained. Now I can know where to put this finger and this other one, and then I'll draw a line. If I don't have, in the event that I have no vernier caliper, I can still mark a timber straight and start lipping it, you know, cutting it across. Because all those tools are put in place to use for measurement so that you have accuracy. You know, you are systematic in your doing of things. No wonder I think President Hakainde Hichilema was saying the previous government was a chipante-pante government. I think I agree. That was a chipante-pante. Because you don't just do things that way. Even when you have money at home, you don't have to spend carelessly. Train your children to know how to budget. In the event that you are not there or you are dead, your children must know how to survive in case those monies will not be there. So the spending of the monies by the previous regime was very irrational. It was not fair. And that's why, to some extent, it was biased. Some people benefited, others didn't. And I'm wondering, because I've heard the Minister of Youth, Honorable Nkando Elvis, he has said he will be buying some fuel tankers, I think, something like that, for the youths. About 70 or 80, I heard about that. I just hope they are not falling in the same... Because that sounded similar to what we used to see. It shouldn't be like that. Yeah, because how are they going to identify those 80 beneficiaries of the tanker? What about, how many youths do we have? How many youths do we have in the country, you know? No, we need decency in the way we are doing things. We shouldn't be irrational in our doing of things. We don't want to see a repetition of what used to happen in the previous government, where only a few people benefit. Only a few people. I'm not trying to discriminate the religious groups. No, I'm not trying to discriminate. But to be honest, I'm ready to put my head on the chopping board over this statement. The previous government segregated even churches. Only Pentecostal churches benefited from the previous government. And some, not all Pentecostal, again. You can't tell me that Jehovah's Witnesses also benefited. SDA benefited.
But they did. What of those churches where
the Muslims? Did they benefit?
Okay, I don't know about that, but we did see some, like on the Copper Belt, I remember I did see the former SD for the former Secretary General for the Patriotic Front make some donations to an Adventist church on the Copper Belt, where they made some contributions and even pledged resources of up to 100,000. We did see a lot of those politicians.
Prudence, that's a justification you're making, and you must be careful, because I was a partner to Ministry of National Guidance and Religious Affairs. I was a partner. The organization that I ran was a partner organization to that ministry. So everything that was happening in that ministry, I know. So I know more than what you know. Yeah. So let's not discuss that here on this. I'm just trying to tell you that the previous government discriminated even churches.
And we saw the birth of the church dividing, where particularly...
We need a situation where all faith based denominations should benefit from the government. You know, when I say all religious or faith-based denominations, I'm including Muslims, Hindus, because when you go in the Constitution, the same Constitution, our Constitution, you know, among the national values, what we also promote is constitutionalism. So again, when I say constitutionalism, I need to ensure that the Constitution is being followed accurately. The same Constitution, on page 20 and 22, on the preamble, it recognizes the country as a Christian nation. We've decided to be ruled and guided as a Christian nation. But now, when you go into other paragraphs, it says, there is freedom of worship, there is freedom of belonging, there is freedom of association. Anybody can choose any faith you can belong to.
Okay.
You can choose to be a Muslim. You can choose. And the government must embrace all of them. That's why we are looking forward to a situation or a time when we talk about worshiping together, we should also see Muslims joining us. The Muslims should be there also. They should not be discriminated because they belong to this country also. They should not be segregated. We want a country that is united, a country where everyone should feel at home. Everyone must benefit, not only a few. You know, it pains us, huh? Even me, it pains me. Anyway, when I see some people that benefited from those monies, and the same people still insult the same government where they benefited some monies. So we don't want to see a repeat of that. And we are calling upon the UPND, alliance-led government, to come up with measures when it comes to empowering the youths that would be so inclusive, so embracive, you know, that would promote national unity. Everyone must benefit. Even if they are getting a little, it's all right, let them get a little, but as long as everyone must have a share of our national cake. You know, we shouldn't divide spoils. And then I just wanted, Miriam, with your consent, to talk about the mindset and the attitude a change that we are advocating for as a movement for promoting national values.
Anyway, before you
yes,
go
please.
into that, just to borrow a word, you did say there was a biasness by the government in terms of giving out these funds. Now, moving forward, what do you think that government should do in ensuring that there's both equal opportunity for the uneducated and educated people in terms of getting these empowering funds? Because a lot of people would say, I don't know how to come up with this business proposal in terms of pitching out to the government so that I can also benefit from these empowering funds. But they want also to be employed.
Already we are seeing the government moving in the right direction towards that. Because what now the government is encouraging all of us is to belong at least to an association or to a registered entity or a cooperative. At least you must belong there. You know, about 10 members are required. So in each and every constituency, we need to belong to a particular group. Even you and I, we need to belong to whichever constituency, Miriam, that you belong to. Even Prudence, any constituency where you are. Make sure you belong to a certain, you should be a beneficiary of the 25.7. You don't say, I work for Camnet. Try to find out within the constituency where you stay, and then be part of, come up with something. Just come up with something. But even if I don't know how to write, and I don't know how to read, don't I have the NRC? I do. So can anyone stop me from being part of a group that is registered? No, I can still belong there. So what the government is trying to do is to do away with a discrimination. They don't want anybody to be left. They want everyone to be there. As long as you have the MRSC, you can qualify to access those funds as long as you belong to a group. So in a group, in a particular group, as long as there could be one or two who knows how to write, who knows how to do things, to sign forms. Yeah. In the bank, you can open an account even if you don't know how to write, isn't it? If you don't know how to sign your signature, you can use ink. You can just squeeze your finger on the ink pad and then fix your thumb on the paper, and then your fingers will be picked. So what am I talking about? No one is being left alone. You know, everyone must be part of. You know, including the procurement industry. I'm sure you used to hear about this, where many people who were in the supplying, and I was a supplier at the same time. My company was also supplying. So I used to supply in some hospitals. I was also supplying building materials, yeah, in different institutions. We also had a problem there where people who are working in the supplying department formed companies and they were supplying themselves. That was very common in the previous government, very common. You know, you work for Cabinet here, and then the Cabinet needs some mics, they need some amplifier, they need cameras, and they need some video cameras and other things. And then Prudence forms a company, then registers it as Embarco Company. Now, when you check on the registration, her name might not be there, but maybe she puts her sisters there, but it's her company. So now when Cabinet is asking for the supply of some materials here, the same person, you know, sends the relatives and those impositors to come and supply. And then she's pushing for payments. She goes to the accounts department. This company supplied, you know, we need these things. If we are not paying them, we will have a problem. Pay them. In the meantime, those monies are going to the same person.
The same person.
We had that situation. You know, we don't want a repeat of that. And we've applied to the government through Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security and the Ministry of Justice. We want to join hands by sending our members into all the 156 constituencies.
Okay. I think Mr. Kunda
to ensure that
to cut a little bit. We are now going to allow phone calls to come in. We've given Mr. Kunda some time as the request of one of our guests. So we have a caller. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, thank you. You're through to Camnet TV Breakfast Show. Give us a name and where you're calling us from.
Yes, my name is Dongo from Kabe.
It's good to know Kabe is watching. How is it this morning?
Without there's no rain, but it's quite cover.
Okay, that's good. As they are not yet reached the Kabe area. Okay, please go ahead with your contribution. Please go ahead.
I would like to hand on about, I don't know the name of the sir.
Mr. Kunda.
Yes, Mr. Kunda, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Ndongo.
Yes. Starting with the Midwestern, your contributions are well done. Because see, where there is injustice, we must face it, trust it. The problem in that country is that we are good at celebrating injustice. People who speak or who are about to do this thing are either not given the credit that they deserve. Like I could go with Professor Patrick Rubinba, who was saying that we are good at celebrating theft, celebrating injustice. Where we have come from, there were people who have given contracts when they didn't have any means of executing those contracts. I'm sure Mr. Buddha is testifying that now, where some people were forming companies, we did in-house companies, okay, flouting every business law. And that was given to people who were supporters of one political party at the expense of every other able-bodied men and women or quality companies that were supposed to have even that kind of service. So, the end result is what we are going through now. The empowerment of the youth, as the particular put it, what criteria was used. So those that used to stand first stories for the DL were put in the forefront and they benefited from that so-called youth reform fund. There's another important fund that we are talking about, what are the geo taxes. One criteria was used to allocate those geo taxes. One, we have so many youths in this country. So the kind of triggering business that was supposed to have been given to the fuel tanker cooperative, that to me it was quite unfair. So at the end of the country, are we going from fuel tanker investors or fuel tanker import to the country? And I'm sure sensitive things should be left to sensitive departments or sensitive government ministry. Fuel is not something taken up that way to be empowered by the politicians that they should do that. That's why it was so difficult all the time to handle the fuel issue. You have to set up productive fuel distribution to youth who know nothing about that. We are putting the youth in danger. Let's take the youth to school, give them certain skills, and then we empower them in those areas, not distributing fuel sometimes. So, find out the house, I did something else. Thank you.
Mr. Ndongo, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Okay, Mr. Ndongo there has raised a very important point where he's saying before you even decide to empower someone, ensure that you empower them with the skill. He's also given an example of what was happening in the former tanker truck, where he's saying, you are giving these tanker trucks, do they even have the qualification to handle fuel? Because fuel is a very important commodity that cannot just be handled anyhow. So, Mr. Kunda, maybe just to get to discussing, and in case you're just joining us, we've now opened our phone lines for your contribution. We're looking at an introspective on youth empowerment funds, starting with the Patriotic Front government. But Mr. Kunda, when we started earlier, it did mention to say he's actually been one of the beneficiaries of empowerment funds in the, did you say Kaunda times? Or
yes, UNIP.
UNIP.
In the UNIP time. So maybe just to talk to that, did you manage to pay back the resources? And how did you handle the money that you were given as empowerment?
No, the arrangement was different. The empowerment we received was different. In fact, I benefited from empowerment in a two-way form, because even after I finished school, that time when you finish school, ZCCM was getting the grade 12s under some trade schools. So we had Kitwe Trades, which is now Kitwe Trades, but we used to call it Mine Planning Development, MPD, MPD. So you work in the mines for 6 months, in any department, maybe underground. I've worked in underground in the mines in Chingola. Then after that, 6 months later, you are sent now to MPD to get some skills into certain fields. You know, you become a machinist, you become a auto expert and all that. You receive that training. So they used to provide that training under ZCCM. So you don't pay anything yourself, no. ZCCM takes you up and they train you, and I'm a beneficiary from that, you know. And then what I was talking about, it's an arrangement where ZCCM was conducting training, entrepreneur training skills to the youths in various skills. Now, immediately you finish, they give you tools. So I had a toolbox myself. Okay. Even when I was serving with a non-profit making organization, for all the years that I served, I used to move with tools, you know, tools. I had carpentry tools. You know, sometimes in the village, people used to get surprised. I'm in a village and someone dies. Then I go to the funeral house, then I ask them, how are we burying? And no, we are going to use the lead mat. Then I'll say, wow, let me contribute a coffin.
Wow.
Then they would ask me, where are you going to, who is going to make that coffin? Then I tell them, I'll make that coffin, it will be available. It will be, just be assured it will be available. Then I'll get timber and make a coffin where I'm staying and contribute a coffin. I've made a lot of coffins for people, so many people, just helping others. You know, this is a skill that I was taught. Even when I was serving, you know, the organization where I was serving, I was not getting paid. You know, it was voluntary work. So it's because of love for the people and love for God that you save. So what I used to do, because my parents were still dependent on me when they were still in the village, so I would get a contract of maybe roofing somebody's house or doing some finishings of somebody's house, and then I'll be paid. Then I send the money to my parents. That's all. So, you know, those skills are sustainable. One of the national values that we promote under Article 8 and 9 is sustainable development. So we are trying to say, if we give these youths these monies, how sustainable are those monies? Will they be put to good use in a sustainable way? Would they just use those monies for that particular day, and then the following day they won't have that money? Because having money is one thing, but maintaining it is another. You know, sometimes I laugh at some people. Some people don't know that at one time I owned vehicles, not a vehicle, but vehicles. the fleet of vehicles, you know. And I used to sell vehicles at the same time. So sometimes I would do hike a car, then I would be in someone's car, and then he's boasting, he's talking of all this. But in the meantime, I tried to discover that this car is not his. See? He's just driving for someone. Yeah, then I would feel pity. You know, because owning a car is one thing, but maintaining it is another.
It's another.
You know, many of our youths are very happy, you know, driving a car. And that's one of the projects that the PF gave to the youths. They bought them cars throughout this country. You know, PF spent.
Buses.
They spent.
Buses.
They bought cars. I remember I went to Solwezi. I took some vehicles that I was delivering for some miners there, I think in Kalumbila or so. Then I spent a night, 2 nights or so at one of the lodges in Solwezi. Then I saw young men who were excited because of the empowerment monies that they received from the government. They bought them brand new cars, you know, so that, and they used to misuse the vehicles I've never seen. And many of them couldn't pay back. They never paid back those monies. So we need to help our youths, you know, to develop a mindset that would help them to have, you know, the thinking faculties, train their perceptive powers to be responsible enough. So even when they are given something, you know, they should treasure it. And that must start from families. It's a big project. And it's not something that we can do on our own. That's why we have partnered with the government in promoting national values, starting from homes. You know, people must be trained from homes. I'm speaking like this with a lot of confidence, and I'm sounding more informative. It's not that I'm intelligent, no. It's because my parents inculcated values in me from infancy. They taught us to be hardworking. Prudence, if I tell you that I'm a very good farmer, you can't believe it. I'm very good at handling the hoe. Very, very good. We used to toil. We used to work very hard. Mom and dad taught us how to work, how to be industrious. Even up to now, whenever I have a car, I don't take it to car wash. I wash myself. I wash a car. Yeah. Even when I have somebody who is helping me at home, I have a domestic worker who is helping me, I would be working with a domestic worker as if I'm also an employee. It's a mindset, because I grew up with that mindset, and no one can change me. You know, I'm like that. I feel I'm not a boss. I'm supposed to toil. It's the Bible actually that says that. In the book of Genesis 3 verse 19, the Bible says you will be toiling up to the time you die, because you have sinned. You know, we have fallen short of God's glory. Our forefathers, Adam and Eve, disobeyed God. And God said, you will be sweating. For you to see food, you'll be sweating. And that's why no one must be overtaken by the promises of the UPND government. When they were saying it will be roses. No, it won't. It won't. And the UPND government must just humble themselves and tell the people the truth. Because the promises that they made have overwhelmed our people, and they've developed a complacent attitude, so to say, where they feel the government will just give them in their own hands. No, it's not true. There will never be any government, even if we can change the government in 2026, no government will give us what we need in our hands. We have to struggle. We have to struggle. You know, there is something that I appreciated among the Tanzanians. The people from Tanzania are very hardworking. Yeah, I've been going to Tanzania, especially when I'm getting a car from there. When I buy a car, then I go to the port. Then I spend a few days there. I take a walk in Kariakoo, right in Dar es Salaam, and see how hardworking people are in Dar es Salaam. They are very hardworking. They are industrious. Hardworking. You know, somebody would be a landlord, but he sells fritters. The wife would be baking scones, fritters, and whatever. Then the husband is selling in town with a kettle, you know, of tea. You know, from shop to shop. Then the children are the suppliers in between. The mother is busy
Doing the baking.
The baking. And then talk of driving. In Zambia, when somebody knows how to drive, we would even be calling you. Even now, people call me sometimes. So we are looking for a job. I'm a driver. What? Class C. What? Driving is a skill. Well, yeah, it is. But driving nowadays is as good as being computer literate. Anybody can. And if you have seen, there is an adjustment now. There is a change. Previously, when they employ you as a marketing officer or marketing manager, they will give you a driver. Now they don't. If you are a marketing officer, at the same time you are a driver, then you are supplying also, you are doing everything, you are a salesperson.
Okay, we'll have to pick a call for now. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much. Tell us your name and where you're calling us from. You're through to Camnet TV.
I'm calling from Zambia. I am Shapira.
How is Zambia this morning?
Zambia is cool. We are feeling good rain.
It's
good. On the fish pond.
Oh, I see. No, at least you have the rains. You can do agriculture activities. Please go ahead.
I want to contribute something.
Yes, please go ahead with your contribution.
Yes, very good. Mr. Kunda, please. I really appreciate what you are saying. We have seen all this. We have been with MOD, and today now in EPND. The greatest mistake for the era of the previous government is giving the right information. You are coming up with ideas. Every government has ideas. But the information that we receive on the ground is scarce. How can you empower someone who you are not giving the information? He is living in total darkness. He doesn't have anything. He is just a matter. And the way of going to distribute it is in a pathetic way. I agree with Mr. Kunda. We have been living in the rural areas. But we see nothing of the reduced environment. I am right here in Zambia. I've never seen a proper environment to the youth. I am impressed. I've been here for almost 1 year. There are several things that we can do to our own youth. But the other thing is the information that we are giving to the youth. To those people that are in charge of distributing this money, how much are they informed? Do they really know what they are supposed to do? Yes, Mr. Kunda, you are right. In Tanzania, in Kenya, Uganda, yes, they look very hard. How to a person change the mindset is by the information. The other is strategy that the government has put in place so that even the people on the background can receive the information. They will know what they're supposed to do. The other thing is, I can have the idea, but do I know how to write a business proposal? Do I know what it means to start in the club or cooperative? That's where the problem is. Please, we are begging you to those people who are coming on board and looking to help. Go all over Zambia. Involve each person. There are people who can volunteer to give information. Because the more we give information to the people on the background of the ground level, the better. Thank you for coming. Thank you for Mr. Kunda. God bless you.
Thank you so much. Thank
Mr.
you.
Chatewa, thank you so much.
Okay, so that was Zambia, and we are in the dying moment of the program. But before we come to wrap up the program, we're going to take a short breather, and we will be back. Keep watching Camnet TV.
This Friday, join Pastor Moses Chiluba on the ministry as he hosts Bishop John Mambo.
People have made mistakes. I've made mistakes. I've gone before the food bench and they said, Look, I made a mistake, I'm sorry, because there was misgiving. All I'm saying is that we cannot afford the young ones, the upcoming clergy. They will be worse if at all we don't put our house in order. The same politician that we call to these services, they look at us as a bunch of junk. We don't mean anything.
At exactly 20:45 hours, only on DSTV channel 274, GoTV channel 98, and Topstar channel 106. From 31st January to 6 February 2022, Zambia's spiritual atmosphere will take a paradigm shift. The Bible says, "Blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord."
Zambia, a nation under God conference
will be starting at 20:45 hours
to 22:30 hours.
Live on Camnet TV channel 274 on DSTV, GoTV channel 98, and Topstar channel 106.
Speakers will be
Bishop Stanley Simnyola, Grace Ministries;
Dr. Nevas Mumba, Victory Ministries;
Apostle Michael Mutemwa from South Africa;
Bishop Nelly Chikwanda, New Life Christian Center;
Apostle Rick Kamwanga, Risen Life Church International;
Bishop Joy Makando, Bread of Life;
Bishop Alex Mwami of Holy Ghost Firehouse from South Africa; and your hosts, Pastors Victoria and Moses Chilua.
Camnet Television,
not just another channel.
Consolidated.
Thank you so much for still staying tuned to Camnet TV. This is a breakfast show that comes to your set every morning from 07 hours to 09 hours. And we are in the dying moment of the program. But maybe just to get to speak the last concluding remarks, Mr. Kunda, I do understand that you did mention to say when you completed school, you were picked up by ZCC, IMH, and you did training and stuff like that. We did see government implement a lot of skills training or impact a lot of skills training in
various schools.
Yeah, even in various people then. But what has happened now with those institutions that used to offer stuff?
All those things came to an end when the mines were privatized. You know, we are talking about over 2,000 companies that were privatized. You know, they were no longer in the hands of the government. So the government had no say because the government was managing the mines. And we used to benefit a lot, I can assure you, we used to benefit. But with the coming up of the investors, the so-called investors, I'm not very comfortable with these investors that we have. That's how all those incentives have disappeared. And I think politicians, again, are to blame. They are very much in a hurry to consent to some concessions, some agreements that they make, you know, with the investors. Because they are so desperate, you know, they want to get somebody to take over them. I'm observing this on social media, where people are bombarding the government, trying to question them. Who is taking over KCM? Can you make an announcement? But the mines minister, Honorable Kabuswe, that man mean well, and I would like to meet him. There are some of the things that we suggested, and I'm seeing them being implemented, where we said, we issued a statement some time back, and I've seen him doing it exactly, where we said we need to have institutions to regulate all our minerals. We should have an institution to regulate gold, an institution to regulate copper, an institution to regulate silver. Every mineral must be regulated by an institution, and the president must appoint regulatory institutions and people, some commissions who should be responsible for that. We cannot have a situation where gold is being sold. Even now as we are talking, gold is being sold out of our country. We have more than 60 deposit sites of gold in Zambia. 60. But we are not hearing of the outcome. What is coming out of that? How much are we making? When are we going to start? Exploration, they are telling us, no, we have to do exploration. Exploration has already taken place. Are we benefiting from uranium? That's a chemical, that's a mineral that is very rare, you know, and it's needed for making of nuclear weapons and all that. Maybe that's why we saw a former president of USA, George Bush, going to Kalumbila. You know, maybe he was checking on our uranium. Because he can't just come to launch a clinic in George compound, that big of a person. He can't do that. So we need to tell these investors, and that's what Mr. Mwamba talked about, Willis. I didn't want to personalize his call. I was at school with him from grade whatever up to grade 7. He's my childhood friend. We grew up together, you know. You know, we need to talk to all these investors, all these Chinese. We have to talk to them. What are you plowing back to our community? Can you empower our youths? You can't just... But the problem with the previous government, benefits were going into their pockets. They would invite somebody to do a road, you know, from where to where. Then they will agree, or to build houses for the police. But those who are in the forefront negotiating would just agree with them. So what we do, let's put it at so much. Then us will only pay you this, then you build some lodges for us. But let it come as if you are. We know all those tricks, eh? We know them. If they want, we can tell them, because we have evidence. That's why when President HH has been saying, these people have been exaggerating these things, it's very true, and he has evidence for that. But you know, some people are trying to be very smart, as if they never stole anything, and yet they did, but they've tried to patch up, you know, their holes and all that. So we need these investors to give the benefits to our impoverished people. Not the money again goes into the pockets of the negotiators. The same people who are negotiating with the investors are getting those monies. You know, agreeing. We've heard of some politicians who own mansions in Dubai. A flat in Dubai, to put up a flat in Dubai. That place is very expensive. And then we have some politicians. That's why when you hear a politician who is very sarcastic, very defiant when speaking, who doesn't show respect to anybody, it means he has stolen. Anybody who is so defiant, it means he has a lot of money, so the monies are taunting him. It's not supposed to be like that. It's not supposed to be like that. You know, many people have gotten monies. We heard in the Chiluba government, you know, about the prosecutions that took place, the Shansonga, the Shamutete, and all those people, you know. They had built mansions in overseas, in other countries, leaving people in Chaisa suffering. Those people are very bad. It's a very bad thing for the politicians.
Just to sum it up as we come to the conclusion of our discussion, are we doing enough, or have we done enough as a country in order to ensure that we address the high unemployment levels among the youths in the country? Looking at the distribution of empowerment funds, are we going in the right direction?
Under 1 minute.
Yeah.
Yes, we are. We are doing enough. We are trying, but we need to do more. And one thing that I should re-emphasize in my concluding remarks are that we need to change the mindset. You know, we should stop thinking that getting employed is to get a job in government, or maybe in a good company, established company. No, even when you are a hairdresser, domestic worker, a landscaper, a tailor, you know, as long as you're able to put food on your table, that's okay. So the government must just sustain us, make sure that all of us, we have something that we are doing, and we have to change the mindset of the people so that they understand what employment means. Because anything that I'm doing, as long as I'm able to get food and put it on the table, that's employment.
Mr. Josak Kunda, National Ambassador, Chairman and Founder for Movement for Promoting National Values and Principles. And today we were discussing an introspective on youth empowerment funds starting from the Patriotic Front regime. I hope you have enjoyed the discussion, and of course you have learned one or two things. Mr. Kunda has a lot of information, and hopefully we will extend an invitation on this program again for him to just come and offload the knowledge, or rather the too much information that he has for everyone outside there, because it is for the beneficial of the country. We need to see Zambia develop, and it cannot be developed by one person. We need ideas such as Mr. Kunda to be brought on the table. It has been me, Prudence Chota, and of course I was assisted by Miriam Kayemba, who's of course, maybe just going to say her last remarks.
Oh, thank you so much, Prudence. It was lovely to share, to always share the set with you. And Mr. Kunda, thank you so much for coming on the show. But unfortunately, this is where we come to the end of our program. And we thank you, viewers, for staying till the end of this program with us. For us, with our production team, it's bye-bye and God bless you.